Hey, what's going on, everybody? I got a request after the meetup the other day asking to post a recording of the meetup, specifically because somebody wanted to re-listen to me explain the process that I've used and teach to start reprogramming your brain. This is the easy process. This is the one that we're going to use to catch ourselves all day long with the thoughts that just are not helpful. So the idea that is that, we are attracting everything to do with our own energy, and that we oftentimes have energy that reflects the whole world. And we often have developed over time some tormenting thoughts like, I don't like my job. And we say this in our mind 20 times, or this relationship is not good for me, or I feel so broke, right? And we'll have these problems, and likely we'll have these kind of tormenting thoughts that we think over and over and over and over again. And really, when we want to change our energy, we start at thinking about what are our thoughts, because when we think something, we feel something. And that feeling part is the part that actually does the manifesting. So the process is we want to, number one, start catching ourselves. In order to catch ourselves, we kind of have to be aware of what we're trying to catch. So the very first step, I guess, before this is to start thinking about, what am I saying over and over again that is in reality, but is not helpful in terms of manifesting what I want. So let's say that you realize that you are perpetually saying like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Then you're going to write that down. And now what we want to do is catch ourselves every single time we think the thought, I don't feel good. We start catching ourselves just by making the intention of, I would like to start catching myself. And on day one, maybe you catch yourself, maybe you totally forget. It doesn't matter. For me personally, the first time I did this, I caught myself like 2 times the first week. And maybe within a week or two, I was catching myself every day. And then within a couple months, I was catching myself all day long. Here's the idea of what's going on. The thoughts in your brain are just neurotransmitters, and they're just little chemicals zooming around. So think that if you've thought a thought a million times, that neurotransmitter pathway is very thick. It's very wide open. So the next time you want to think a thought, you have a little neurotransmitter, it's just going to go down the path that is super easy because you've thought it a million times. It's practice, it's easy, and it's just the default way of thinking. However, if we want to start thinking new thoughts, we need to literally take out a machete and start bushwhacking a new trail. Think of the trail system, right? You go on a hike and there's the first trail. It's really, really wide. It's super easy to walk down. Everybody's walking down this main trail. But if you want a really interesting, really cool hike, you're going to need to go off on a side trail. And how that side trail became a side trail, somebody had to take a machete and start bushwhacking that. And the first time they did it, they took down a couple trees. They kind of, went down the path, and then more and more people started going down it. So it kind of made a small offshoot of a path. And if you keep going down that, if everyone decided that they're just going to go down that path, it would eventually become wide and really easy to walk down. So that's what we need to do in our brain. We need to acknowledge the fact that what the thoughts I'm thinking, even though I want to tell you they're based in reality and truth, and I know they are, they're not helpful, because those thoughts create emotions that attract you what you don't want. So now we have to think new thoughts. So what the first thing is once we start catching ourselves, that is our signal not to feel guilty, not to feel like, oh, there I go again. It's just a reminder to think a new thought. And so the second step is to really replace it with something else. Now, if you're kind of advanced, you could maybe, if you're saying, oh, I don't feel good, you could replace it with something like, I feel good, I feel good. But likely, if that's a big problem for you, then you trying to say anything positive about that situation is basically going to maybe not feel good. And the whole trick with law of attraction, when we're coming up with new things to think and say, is that they're believable and they feel good, because then our energy truly reflects that, and now we can manifest new things. So the easy process is to go off subject. Whatever your big problems are, and you're just starting out with law of attraction, I don't want you to try to start off with the hard stuff, tackling your big problems. We want to just generally start reprogramming our brain and generally start feeling better. So I want you to make a list of 3 to 10 things that make you feel good no matter what. This is basically going to be this little juicy list that will stimulate really nice thoughts and really good feelings. Now the things on this list need to feel good even when you're feeling really bad. So when you're at your worst, what things will make you smile no matter what? So for me personally, the top things on my list is this snapshot I have in my mind of this one specific beach vacation where I was lying on the beach in Fiji in the heat, drinking pina coladas, totally relaxed. So when I'm down here, when I can make my brain go there, I can feel it and I can raise my energy. Another thing is my favorite spot on a bicycle ride, a cute photo of my brother and I when we were little. It could be family members. It could be a memory of some crazy party you just had an amazing time at 25 years ago or 5 years ago. It can be literally anything that when you're down here, you feel good thinking of it. So you need to write this down, and really you need to put this list in your phone, because in this process, at the times you need this list, you can't remember anything on it, because we're going to use this list when we catch ourselves in a thought that doesn't feel good. And usually when we're not feeling good, we can't remember what's on the list. So you really got to put it in your phone. So 3 things would be a great start, and bonus points if you can get this list juicy. You can, if you're doing this throughout the day, you can pick multiple things on the list every single day. Me personally, I usually like to take out the list, read one, pick it for the day, and then usually I can remember that one thing. So I'll go on and say, okay, today's the bike ride. So when I catch myself with this crappy thought that doesn't make me feel good, I'm gonna just think of that spot on the bike ride that I feel so good at. Anyway, so here's the full process. We figure out what is the tormenting thought. We put the intention of starting to catch ourselves. We don't worry if we're actually catching ourselves or not. I don't want you to have extra guilt here. We're just putting the intention out there that we want to start catching ourselves. And when we catch ourselves, we take out the list, we choose one of our things, and then we think about it. And we don't just think about it, say, okay, I just did the process. We take it and we go in our mind and we put ourselves in that position, and then we juice it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. What I like to do is I usually take my phone out, set the timer for 30 seconds. I look at the timer while I'm thinking this really nice thing, and then 30 seconds is done, and that's it. You're done with the process. So we're not trying to make major shifts or changes here. All we're trying to do is start rewiring the brain, opening new pathways, and becoming aware of the tormenting thoughts so we can then inject good energy whenever we're thinking of that. With this process, you will be very surprised how quickly you can actually start raising your energy. And when you start raising your energy, generally the other processes start to become easier and easier. So this is my favorite one to start with, because we're not tackling problems head on. We're just generally learning how to feel better. And then once you start feeling better, you're gonna have new ideas. You're gonna wanna do different things. You're gonna basically feel like things are starting differently, because now you're thinking differently, you're feeling differently, you're inspired to do different things, you're having different ideas that you wouldn't have had when you were down here. So that's the quick process. If you have any questions about it, put it in the comments. Obviously, I'm going to answer those questions. And if you've been working on this process, let us know how it's going, and let me know if you have any other questions. I'll see you guys later.